So I already said the creator is a good film. I think it's one of the most beautiful sci-fi films I've ever seen. And it has some of the biggest sci-fi Easter egg spotting fan servicing for people who know their science fiction, manga, and all that stuff. Yeah, we should dive into the Easter eggs. I'm sure you missed some. The first Easter egg is Akira. Akira, the manga and the anime. The child in this movie is basically Akira from the comics. The chamber he's in, his demeanor, the reverence they have for the child, the importance of the child in the evolution of the human race. This is Akira from the manga and the anime. Then there's a sci-fi artwork of legendary artist Syd Mead, dominating the design of buildings in the movie and the design of Nomad. Syd Mead was the guy that got to create the look of the original Blade Runner. He is a legend in science fiction, book covers and art in general. Another more modern influence is Simon Stalenhag, the heir to Syd Mead. His ability to put science fiction technology into a believable context, integrated in normal, everyday society, just at first glance at his paintings, without explanation, is a rare talent and is a heavy influence on the look of this movie. His work has directly been used to make Amazon's The Loop TV series. But what they do in the movie is they play off the two different styles, Syd Mead and Simon Stalenhag. So what is the difference between these two artists? The major difference I found between Syd and Simon's work is the socioeconomic and psychological differences that technology has on human beings. In Syd's paintings, with the exception of Blade Runner's cyberpunk story, everyone seems to be rich. Everyone seems to be upper middle class. Technology seems to have solved everybody's problems and everybody's living the high life. Right? Meanwhile, in Simon's paintings, they're usually set in the Midwest, a depressed Midwest, where technology is part of the decay of society. And technology doesn't seem to rescue society. In fact, technology rots when society rots. The only comparison I can make is the way the early internet was wildly optimistic and almost utopian in view. And then along came social media and completely distorted the way we talk to each other, politics, everything. The other thing is the mood is definitely taken from Simon Stalenhag's work. Simon Stalenhag's work reminds me of a famous painting called The Nighthawks by Hopper. The Nighthawk is a famous painting that depicts urban isolation and the distance the modern world creates between human beings. And that tone is sort of in this movie. Also, the feeling of liminal space generated by the paintings of Simon Stalenhag is also in this movie. The other big influence, I'll say, is Neil Beauchamp. I probably said his name wrong. But the guy who directed District 9, he directed Chappie. But this movie takes a lot of influence from the movie Elysium. The tone of the look, the politics and the creator, the way those who govern us might end up operating from in orbit, off-world platforms overlooking the mess down below. All that is in this movie, and all of that is also in Elysium. Also, the fact that if anybody wants to do anything about it, they'd have to go up into orbit and sort out the situation there. The other massive influence in this, and not just on the creator, but on pretty much most of science fiction from the mid-90s onward, is 1995's Ghost in the Shell. It is a core philosophical influence on the creator. It directly made 1999's The Matrix possible, and in Ghost in the Shell, the story repeatedly emphasized what we regard as memory, relationships, our perception of reality, and even our personalities was just information. And in the story, some people can get the so called information ghost in their human shell hacked. The information inside the mind which made these people who they are. They could be hacked so well, a businessman can be convinced they are a refuse collector and live that life believing that they've always been a refuse collector their entire life, when in fact, they may have only been a refuse collector for weeks, and sophisticated crimes could be committed where victims don't die but are forced to become other people and made to disappear. Something that happens to this day, which makes it very hard to solve missing people cases because there is no body. The ending and conclusion of Ghost in the Shell is also a major influence on the ending of The Creator. Ghost in the Shell brings the internet, AI, robots, transhumanism, and society to the creation of something else that is a sum of what came before. There is so much imagery that is directly from Ghost in the Shell. So those are the influences, and those are the Easter eggs. There's a lot more influences as well. So, of course, there's the obvious direct Blade Runner imagery lifts, the lighting. Some of the vehicles look like they're straight out of Blade Runner. But I wanted to emphasize Syd Mead because that's where that look came from. So it's Akira, Syd Mead, Simon Stalenhag, Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, and yes, it's all those influences that made this movie. So yeah, I like the movie. It's an action-packed, thoughtful sci-fi movie, and yeah, go and see if you can. I'm sure it's going to do very well, and Gareth Edwards proves again that he's very good at handling these big movies. He's probably the best director at showing a sense of scale on the screen, bar none. Okay, so yeah, that's my review and Easter eggs of The Creator, directed by Gareth Edwards. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.